I'm not joking. This is it. This is true. The last 3 paragraphs, no, the last 4, 5, and 6, and 7 paragraphs have to go. They have to go. They don't contribute anything to the story. They don't. They don't. Yo, today we have Nix Oliveira. I was sent this email a week ago. See, I'm not lazy. I'm not lazy. Okay, I make videos. I make consistent videos, and I make them all the time. I upload. Yeah, let's keep it that. I upload videos. Anyways, I was said, hi, use this to make a YouTube video. Analyze my first chapter. If you will, if you like it, I can send you chapter 2. First of all, second of all, third of all, fifth of all, 10th of all. This is not gonna work, ladies and gentlemen. This has one severe mistake or a problem that is repeated over and over and over and over and over until, and I'm not joking when I say, my final suggestion, right? You see everything I'm basically, you have this last paragraph, the second last paragraph, the third, the fourth, the fifth, literally the sixth, the seventh, the eighth. All of this should be deleted. Basically what this is essentially 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, 4.5 pages. Out of a story that is 7 pages, my proposition would be to delete majority of everything. Just keep only this amount of it, because the rest of it is practically pointless. And I'm going to essentially explain in this video why, okay? And please, I hope I'm not coming across as an a-hole. I'm not an a-hole, okay? Yes, I'm not. I'm really fun, okay? This is a fun channel, and we talk about stuff in a fun way, and we have fun, and we do fun things. Fun, okay? Anyways, so chapter 1. This story is about fighting, and it's about basically, as far as I know, and I've read all of it, essentially, it's this guy who's preparing to go into a fight. And you know what just happened? There is something suspicious that just happened. He was supposed to fight an opponent. This is his last fight. This is it. When we're introduced to the story, right? This is it for the protagonist. And this is their last fight. They have no other fights left. And essentially, they have switched his opponent. This is very suspicious, okay? Suspicious activity. Very, very suspicious. Paragraph 1. The dressing room is small, damp, and gloomy. The tube light on the ceiling flickers indecisively, its feeble glow mixing with the fluttering of a solitary moth. Drops fall into stagnant water, and there is a palpable sense of contained violence. There he is. The establishment hosts clandestine fights, where bets run high and blood spills freely. That's the business. So, this is good. So far, so good, right? There's absolutely nothing that would be wrong with this, right? Yes. However, very quickly you will come across, in the rest of this paragraph, you'll come across the biggest problem with this entire writing, or the style of the writing here. Characters of all kinds converge here, drawn by the morbid spectacle. That's the first part of it, okay? Small-time gamblers and the so-called big fishes gather to watch. Although entry is restricted by invitation, it's an open secret that these fights take place. Off-duty, police officers, bankers, business owners, lawyers, they all frequent these contests. And inside, see, this is another problem, right? They all basically frequent here, right? Yes. And also, you can see here, hosts clandestine fights. And inside, there are those whose occupations don't conform to legal norms. Gamblers with pockets full of money. You see, gamblers with pockets full of money. And if you really pay attention, prior in the sort of paragraph, you have small-time gamblers, right? You're starting to notice a particular trend here. Anyways, gamblers with pockets full of money and from selling the best quality white powder in the area. Right, I like that. I like that last part. The biggest problem with the writing here is rather straightforward. It's repetition and it's unnecessary information. Basically, there is this thing in writing where you're supposed to show and you're supposed to tell. Because usually the normal advice is show, don't tell. But that's actually false. You are not writing a screenplay because, this is not a screenplay. This is a novel. This is a book. Okay, this is a book. So you have to show and you have to tell. But you have to find a balance between both of them. And a good writer essentially will find very good balance between both. Now, even I get this wrong, so I'm not immune to it, but it's very egregious in this example because the author, Nix Oliveira, simply struggles to pick when to tell, what to tell, and how to tell it. So they repeatedly get this wrong. In this particular paragraph, there are so many informations that are repeated back to back to back. And I have shown you all the information that's repeated. If it's clandestine, if it's a morbid spectacle, and we know that it is a morbid spectacle because it hosts fights. I don't think, blood spills. Yeah, that's morbid spectacle, so you don't really have to repeat it. But you see, it's okay to repeat once or twice, but this is repetition that's actually multitudes of times. There he stands. There he stands, there he is. You have repetition here that's unnecessary. Knuckles is still throbbing. The fresh image of his previous opponent falling unconscious on the concrete etched in his mind. It's halftime, 30 minutes before the second bout. Second bout is coming. Each night, the winner of the first fight has the chance for the second one. This time, it's really seeming to add useful information. This is useful telling, right? Because you have the Knuckles is still throbbing, so you have shown, right? The fresh image etched in his brain, right? So you have also shown this is very good. And then you follow it by clarification. You follow it by having useful information to tell the reader. This is, good, right? Each night, the winner of the first fight has a chance for a second one. There are only two outcomes. Either you win again and pockets overflowing with doubled earnings from the first victory, or you not only lose, but risk ending up badly injured in the hospital, spending most of your winnings on medical care and recovery. So the paragraph keeps going on. The stakes are high. However, the same problem repeats again. The stakes are high. The stakes are high. Yeah, we know that the stakes are high because you have told here, there are two outcomes, like you win or you lose. You end up, medical and recovery. The stakes are high, but desperation drives them forward. Most of those who fight are men, and a few women living lives far removed from what society considers normal. Stable jobs, Again, this is to be expected, People selling white powder, gamblers. I'm not expecting, white picket fence individuals and families. So it's unnecessary to really describe this. However, I do like how it's a nice sentence, right? It's a really nice sentence. So stable jobs, model taxpayers, health insurance, morning cafe with eggs and bacon, weekend barbecues, settled families, an obligatory kiss from a spouse before returning to routine weekly tasks. Hey, that's a nice sentence. The rest of the paragraph is unnecessary though. And this is where it becomes absolutely egregious. Because effectively, this entire paragraph is unnecessary. Dreams, illusions, pets, chaos, violence, gambling, addiction. Yeah. Not necessary. Absolutely not necessary. Survival instinct, all these elements covered, not necessary. His hands rest on the lone sink of the dressing room. Head bow. This is, by the way, the last useful paragraph. These two are the last useful paragraphs. Everything before this should be absolutely deleted. Yes. So you can see how this entire paragraph should go because it adds nothing. It's more of the same repeated description. His hands rest on the lone sink in the dressing room. Head bowed, he counts the seconds between drops falling from his nose into the stagnant water, almost in sync with the blood pulsing through his veins. And essentially, after this particular, he's basically lost in thought. He contemplates, right? His friend comes to him, right? He had already come to him, rushed to him, in fact, right? in the dressing room, and he had told him, basically, that they changed his opponent. They're going to change, his opponent in the last minute. There had been a last minute change. The outlook was no longer as auspicious. Now it seemed like an impossible fight to win. So this is his last fight, and the sudden change is going to be a problem. But you can see how repeated descriptions really damage the story, and they add so much bulk that is unnecessary. There had been a last minute, and you can see the same thing here. Sudden change. Beyond the physical challenge, his concern lay behind the sudden change. Information his friend had shared. But you told us before that essentially his friend rushed to him. Now, information his friend had shared. So everything is communicated at least twice. Since these fights operated outside legal boundaries and clandestine nature, and were of clandestine nature, okay, you told us before, clandestine. These are clandestine fights. And you can see that information here. Clandestine fights, right? So it's unnecessary to tell. This entire paragraph is useless. Nothing happens. The author immediately begins delving into legal jargon. You have tension, but you lost the tension. Because the tension is established here. There has been a sudden change. But you lost the tension because you are delving into legal jargon. I take full responsibility for avoiding my own death if I die. This is basically legal jargon that you are supposed to sign before you fight. This is unnecessary because you established a point of tension, but you lost it. And then another thing is that you're talking about his nickname. You're talking about the character's nickname. Unnecessary as well. Despite his undefeated streak over the past months, and they earned the nickname Battle from his paternal surname. Come on, eh? It's unnecessary. But then it becomes even more unnecessary because you delve into debts that he owes. There is no need to delve into these debts he owes right now. If you are going to delve into them, don't tell, show. Because it seems like such an important part of the story that you should not be telling this, you should show. And you should also tell it. But, just combine both. It's to give it emphasis. Perhaps you should give this more time. Because this death seems very important and it's rushed. And I wouldn't say that's a good idea. Then everything else, that's it. Everything else should be deleted. Why? Because all of this is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream. Amidst the amalgamation of convergent circumstances, in this limbo of uncertainty and anxiety, you already told us that a particular dream from the previous night briefly crossed his mind. Briefly crossed his mind, but the rest of the entire story revolves around that. So briefly crossed his mind, no, lengthily crossed his mind. This dream is ultimately strange, and there are strange people that chase him, and he runs away, but basically it's pointless. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of the story, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Essentially, you are repeating too much information. You are destroying any tension or any pace, any progress that the story could be making. By repeating, we know, we already got it. And also you lost the tension. You lost the tension. This is it. This is the tension. It's his last fight, this is it. But you lost it. Anyways, that's going to be it. I hope you took something from this video. Have a nice day. And please subscribe. Subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.